I look like I need a shower. Why don't you guys tell me that I look rough? Comment, Otto, take a shower, cut your hair. Is crypto regulation a good thing or a bad thing? That's the question we're going to ask. You guys ready for this? We're going to ask that question right now. Kind of been the theme of these last 6 to 10 months or so, where the government has come in and is now really bringing the scrutiny to the crypto industry and really honing their eyes into all the layers that are making the most money in the space. Does regulation bring more inspiration for innovation, or does it quickly stagnate the flow of it? That's my question. Because, you have a group of people that say, yeah, regulation is good, definitely bring it. You have a group of people that say, regulation is bad. It's the same thing that's happening from before. Well, in this video, we're going to answer that question, or at least we're going to dive deeper into it and ask some deeper questions, and then you can decide on your own. Those that are curious about the transition from centralized systems to decentralized ones, and if the regulatory bodies will facilitate that transition or make it as difficult as possible, this video is for you. If you're that curious, then you're probably like me, where you just ask questions on a daily basis and have a belief system that ends on a 24-hour cycle. I've recently noticed an uptick in government involvement within the crypto space. Okay, many people in the space will say that this is a very good thing. I've heard that for years, that too many people are getting scammed out of their money and a policing force is necessary to protect people from themselves. Isn't that the old government narrative and story? We're here to protect you. I think it was JFK or somebody said, one of the presidents said to run away to the opposite direction if the government comes to you and says that we're here to help or something like that. I'm butchering that, but yeah, this is the mindset, right? We need to protect people from themselves. But isn't this the exact reason that the crypto space was created in the first place? So that we don't need third-party officiators, third-party governing bodies, so we can do it ourselves. I mean, come on, people. That's the whole reason for crypto, okay? To remove any and all interaction of centralized third parties from having to regulate, officiate, registrate, and of course, manipulate the transactions between the supply and demand side of anything is the issue that we are trying to solve here. I mean, that's why crypto exists, so that we don't need official governing bodies to tell us that this is a legitimate transaction, that this is an official transaction, that I actually own this thing. Maybe we've needed that in the past, but I think that we've normalized giving away our power of responsibility to external forces, and now those forces are abusing that power and that gift that we gave them. In my opinion, crypto is just giving us back the ability to take back that power. So here are a few pros and cons to government regulation that I want to bring light to, and then you decide. Okay, you can decide this. Regulating crypto assets, that's the question. And we've been having this discussion for months in the government. The government has been having this discussion for months, at least since November of 2021, when they brought a lot of focus to the stablecoin market within the crypto space. Okay, so here we have the Fed's Christopher Waller. He's the Federal Reserve Governor, and he spoke about crypto recently. This was this past Friday. It was at the CNBCIF conference on crypto assets and financial innovation in Zurich. And he said the main issue in crypto asset regulation isn't how to protect sophisticated crypto investors. It's how to protect the rest of us. In particular, he said the aim of regulation would be to protect society from the often irresistible pressure to socialize the losses of investors with limited resources and to limit the spread of financial stress. So enter the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission. This is the new commission that was created. It's a mix of a few departments, I would say, or people from different departments that they then pushed together and created this commission. But it's not the SEC. Okay, this is actually an independent organization in the government. So I went okay, about the CFTC, the commission, and then I went to the board, the chairman, and the commissioners themselves. And so, there's a few here. There's 5, 6 people, and I want to just grab the first couple, or I wanted to grab the first one and then the last one, because I want to see who initially started the process and where they're going with it. And so the first guy here is the chairman, Rostin Benham. So this is him talking at FINRA. This was back in, I believe, let's see here. This is in May 2022.
Is how do we start thinking outside the box, so to speak, about who we recruit and who we're looking to as the future leadership of the industry. And I think up until now, we've been very narrow because it's convenient, it's easy. We have existing relationships, and I get that. We are all in a high pressure situation, high pressure jobs, and we want the quickest answer in the shortest amount of time. But I think it's going to benefit us all and build a stronger foundation for the future if we, again, cast a wider net and start to look around to areas that we're not historically accustomed to recruit a new generation of leadership that will, take the industry forward for decades. We need to work together on this.
And I think that's a great comment. I mean, hey, we need to make sure that we're putting people into this commission unit that are forward thinking, that aren't, stuck to old paradigms. That's kind of what I understood there, which is great. I think that's a great statement to make about this new commission that's focusing on this new type of currency or this new type of technology. So then I go to the last person, the most recent person that they nominated or they put into the CFTC as a commissioner in April, and that is Commissioner Carolyn Pham.
Important because people look at this, and when everything is going well and everything's going up, people think everything's fine. But this has been a real world example of what happens when things go wrong. And so what I think is really interesting is what CEO Jeremy Allaire of Circle said, and he was quoted in a Bloomberg article recently, where he said, look, for some of these stable coins, like these algorithmic stable coins, are they in fact derivatives? I think this is really interesting because if they are in fact derivatives, the last time we had, $40 billion, something blow up like this in the financial crisis, risky, opaque, complex financial products, Congress came up with a solution for that, and that was with Dodd-Frank. And there is a whole framework right now under Title VII for the regulation of derivatives.
I'm going to stop her right there. Look, the fact that she's saying this, that like, stable coins. Well, maybe these are derivatives. Maybe we can classify it this way. Maybe we can interpret it this way. We can make sure that, we can get our piece of the pie. That's the problem I have with these people, man. CFTC Commissioner Caroline Pham, you're just normalizing, you're perpetuating the same old bullshit system and trying to take what you understand from the old system, which is really what you've normalized, and trying to put that label on this new system, considering it another asset class. Oh, crypto. Oh, well, it's stocks, commodities, properties, crypto. What is crypto? Well, it's a derivative. No, it's a commodity. No, it's a property. No, it's an asset. This is the problem, guys. This is the problem when you have centralized governing bodies trying to interpret something new. All they have to play on is the past. They can't. It's very difficult for these new, for the new generation of politicians at least, to let go of what they know and see the new for what it can be. That's the issue that we have, is people taking with them the old, the garbage, the past, the programming. That's the problem. The indoctrination of these old systems will only stagnate and stop the flow of innovation in the crypto space. You have to let go of the old to look at the crypto space as, this has never existed before. You can't compare this to anything that's ever existed. And you can keep trying, keep pushing, keep trying to interpret it in a certain way, but all you're doing is stagnating the flow of energy. which crypto is the fastest representation of energy now, and you're creating limitations of innovation. Like you're making people afraid. And that's the biggest driving force for politicians is let's make people as afraid as possible because then we can control them a little easier. And that's what she's doing here. She's putting fear into the minds of people. Oh, well, I can't trade crypto because that might be considered a derivative. Well, if it's a derivative, well, can I be liquidated? Oh, will they consider this a short-term or a long-term investment? There's all these little questions you start asking, and that's the trap. In my opinion, that's the trap. They've had some more discussions about crypto, about the stablecoin space, about the NFT space, really bringing a lot of scrutiny and focus towards the parts of the industry that are making a lot of money right now, right? Making a lot of money. A lot of stablecoin farming that you can do are paying, man, you can get anywhere between 8% to, I've seen up to 15%, 16% a year. You show me a real world bank that's paying anywhere above 3%, and I'll give you all my crypto. Honestly, the scrutiny is like follow the money, right? Where's the scrutiny going towards? The parts of the industry that are bringing the most. And here's just another example of fear. This is The Guardian. Crypto crisis means regulation will come sooner than later. And the whole conversation here is basically saying like, well, crypto's great. And, a lot of people are talking about that you can use crypto to circumvent government bodies. And here it is. Try telling that to policymakers in developing economies where crypto has become a significant vehicle for avoiding taxes, regulations, and capital controls. And then they bring it back with saying like, well, it's mainly used by criminals and people that are trying to, they even talk about the Venezuelan military using it for its drug smuggling operations. And then I go look, who wrote this? Oh, Kenneth Rogoff is a professor of economics and public policy at Harvard University. Oh, and he was the chief economist of the International Monetary Fund from 2001 to 2003, which is associated with the World Economic Forum. Anybody that's trying to sell you information with fear, they need to check themselves, okay? So just be aware. Be aware of information that instills an emotion. If it makes you feel afraid, even if it makes you feel happy, that's manipulation. To moving on. All right, so here we had Waller, just a continuation of what he was saying about crypto and why crypto needs regulation. He said here, Waller also stated that the most experienced investors also have the idea of how to operate in most of the unregulated markets and may not have any requirement for crypto regulation. He then went on to point toward a recent survey conducted by the Federal Reserve that highlighted that even with the explosive crypto assets in the last few years, only 12% of the adults in America own crypto. And I think that's high. I think it might be actually lower than that. And 99% of them have been holding on to it for investment purposes. This brings some clarity to, again, back to the topic of why are we listening to these leaders, man? And if you really want to know what these leaders are saying, make sure you check out my most recent video, which is my reaction to government leaders and the central bank leaders and all the BS that they're selling you. I actually recorded myself watching them talk about crypto. Make sure you check that out. But I mean, this just kind of reiterates what I've been talking about, which is fear, right? Fear is a major driving factor. And if you create enough chaos, right? Fear is birthed out of chaos. You create chaos, you create confusion. The uncertainty of that reality now generates fear. It manifests fear in your body. So all of this to say that the numbers that they're trying to push and the information that they're trying to push is trying to instill a certain emotion of fear. And even saying, and 99% of them have been holding on to it for investment purposes, even using that specific phrase, it's locking you in to the idea that there's only trading available. All you can do is invest and wait and hope that it goes up. And that's an interpretation. That is a manipulative interpretation of the crypto space. So be aware of that. This is a quick video I wanted to show. These are the actual senators that created the new crypto bill that everybody's been waiting for, the bipartisan crypto bill that classifies the digital assets. And this is what they had to say.
The proposal from GOP Senator Cynthia Lummis and Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand divides digital assets into two buckets. Fully decentralized cryptos like Bitcoin and Ether are defined as commodities and therefore regulated by the CFTC. Securities are overseen by the SEC. But there's also a gray area of so-called ancillary assets. They're not fully decentralized, but don't meet the threshold of being a security. Think of Cardano or Solana. Those are presumed to be commodities, but must file disclosures with the SEC twice a year. Now, the bill also establishes new rules for stablecoins, which both the Fed and the White House have asked Congress to weigh in on. The bill requires stablecoins to maintain 100% reserves in high-quality liquid assets and to provide regular public disclosures. It also creates a process for banks to issue stablecoins and a special charter for other financial institutions to do so as well.
All right, so just before we go into what they actually had to say, the two bill creators or the bipartisan committee that created this bill, everything she just said there essentially is interpretation, right? It's all about interpretation and how they perceive crypto. And I don't know if you've noticed, but everything she said about crypto is encompassing it underneath a centralized interpretation or a centralized, normalized conversation of the space, right? And that's the trap. That's the without going too deep into some rabbit holes, that's part of the MK Ultra technique, which is you use the buzzwords of the tool, you normalize the conversation, but you mold it to fit what you want, right? You mold it to fit the narrative that will perpetuate what you want. And so everything she said there is all underneath, essentially underneath the interpretation. It's all under how these people are interpreting the space. When it's like, okay, well, who are you people, and why? And who gave you the power to decide how it should or shouldn't be looked at? It's like gold or diamonds or anything that if you walk outside and you find anything and you grab it and you go, man, this is valuable because I found it. Well, it's like the government coming in is like, well, you know, that has a certain smoothness and it has certain holes in it that might hurt you if you hold it a certain way. So we're gonna try to put some tape on this, right? And that tape will create it. No, dude. This is something that I found. This is something that I brought into my house. Who are you to tell me what I should or shouldn't do with this thing that I found? You know, that's the problem we're in right now, guys. All this to say that we've given away our power to these centralized governing bodies to tell us what we can and can't do with our money. Who are they in their right mind to tell me what I can and can't do with my finances, with my worth? This money is just a representation of all the time and effort that I put into a business or into a service or into a product. And now that energy that I output is now represented by this money. And I'm going to take this money and I'm going to use it for what I want. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do with it? Trying to protect me? I don't need your protection. This is the issue, guys, is being able to differentiate between what is a good thing as opposed to what we've just normalized in this reality. All right, so this is Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and she's a Democrat from New York, and then Cynthia Lummis, who's a Republican from Wyoming, and they're the ones that came together in this bipartisan bill for the crypto industry, for crypto regulation. So let's just listen to what they have to say here.
And so we've created this framework to be flexible, to allow for innovation, to allow for multiple uses or different uses. And if you overregulate this industry, the players you are going to exclude are those entrepreneurs and innovators who are using digital assets for all sorts of purposes. If you're a traditional player who wants to be a broker dealer and wants to offer financial services to institutions, you're going to be regulated by the SEC because that's the purpose of the SEC. But if you are doing something entirely different for very different reasons, you don't want to be overregulated, because then you will stymie innovation and destroy so many applications for blockchain. Blockchain is a revolutionary framework and system that can be used for multiple uses. It's not just a one size fits all.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, Senator Gillibrand, because we've largely been talking about regulation for specific crypto asset types or blockchain-based asset types, but when we think more broadly around the blockchain and how the network can be its own internet, its own system and protocol, do you believe that we are marching towards a broader blockchain type of regulation, or at least set of protections for consumers who are engaging?
Yes. And so that's why Cynthia and I worked very hard to look at all the current uses of blockchain technology and digital assets and tokens to make sure that there's a place for everything that is appropriate for what the purpose is and for what the goal of using that technology is. And this is a very useful framework to start. Now, in answer to one of your earlier questions, this is just the beginning. This bill will likely go through 4 committees of jurisdiction in the Senate. It'll go through banking for the SEC portions, agriculture for the CFTC portions, finance for the IRS portions, and most likely Intel because of the internet components. Most cybersecurity work is done through Intel. And so these committees will then use their judgment and put their imprimatur on this legislation over time, and that will make it an even better bill.
This is the situation we're in, guys. If you are trying to still create regulation under the old system for this new system that is supposed to replace the old everything in the old system, then you're going to fall into a trap, a trap of a loop trap. And that's where these 2 women are currently. They want so bad to regulate crypto within the centralized mechanisms that they're gonna be in that loop forever. It's a perpetual loop. It's trying to create the same regulatory pressure that you need in the centralized systems on decentralized systems where it's unnecessary, where it's futile to try to regulate decentralized mechanisms with centralized regulatory bodies. So those are the 3 big points here. There are some pros and cons to regulation. Really quickly, pro is support in battling against deliberate scams and pyramid schemes. Yay! Con, it takes away the power of the individual from taking care of themselves, thus limiting the ability to critically think or discern. Pro, saves people from investing into assets they understand very little of, thus creating a barrier of entry for that asset class and protecting the investor. Con, it stops those who have little money or little education from benefiting from the opportunity that is not limited to centralized governing bodies. This barrier keeps the rich richer and the poor poorer. It's so weird, right? You can't individually angel invest into public companies. Oh, but you can go to Vegas and blow your whole savings on black. Like, what world are we living in, people? Pro, interpretation of the space will now be handled by a central singular party that will officiate definitions to these new systems, thus creating a normalized and generalized landscape perspective of the space. So the question now remains, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Is it daddy government, where you give up all your power of choice and discernment to something outside of your body? Or is it you? Okay, are you capable of taking back that power inside yourself and take back responsibility of your choices, actions, and reactions so that you can discern the right choices and decisions for you? That's where we're at right now, guys. So if you want to dive deeper into these regulatory leaders, again, make sure you check out that video that I posted. It's a reaction video to some of these so-called leaders of the central banking government and governing bodies. And if you liked what you watched, definitely smash that subscribe button to get more content like this coming at you. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram, all the platforms. Twitter. I've been tweeting a lot recently, and so you'll definitely like those tweets. We're in a fork in the road right now that you can either allow the government to fear you into deciding something, or you say, c'est la vie, and go create your own reality. I love you guys, and I truly mean what I say when I say, don't forget, always remember to gamify your abundance.